Hey everyone, welcome back to Someone's PC. I got mind game by having two webcams because I got one for them and one for me. All right. We haven't done a discussion video in a while. I think people have been demanding it, and so we're finally going to do one. With me today again is Dylan Bryan and Marc Albright.
What's
Yep.
up, guys?
Normally our videos are super long, but we're trying to cut back on that because people feel the need we have to. And Dylan's also writing his article that should be posted to Someone's PC by tomorrow, or finishing up his article, so to say, once we edit
Yeah,
it. And yeah, I think you spent like what, a day and some change on it already. Pretty long
yeah,
time. Yeah, pretty
yeah.
pretty decent
I
time.
mean, like partial days on it, so probably pretty much like a full day's worth of work by the time I'm done with it.
Yeah.
Plus, like some testing time
Yeah,
beforehand
sounds
and
like me
stuff.
when I can't
So
like just splurge it all out in like 8 hours. And
yeah,
then you go back and refine it, and you're like, "Well, is that idea good?" And then that's not even counting the testing hours, like the
yeah.
3 to 4 hours you put into writing. All right, it's gonna be a good article, so be sure to check that out. Um, I can't pronounce it correctly. Dortmund. Do you even pronounce the T? Dortmund. Dortmund. EU regionals is going on this weekend,
Yeah.
as well as ARG Charlotte, which I was supposed to make. Might not make it now because few of my friends backed out of riding with me. So I might be sitting on the sidelines and seeing that. So what we've seen lately is a lot of people are posting opinions on, or asking for opinions. Um, what are the top 5 decks of the format? What should they be playing going into this weekend? And what should we expect a Fort Wayne? So to start, I think we shouldn't even be thinking about Fort Wayne yet because the EU meta and ARG should have a little bit of influence, that we should see of how evolution's impacted our format. Right?
I
Agree?
mean, I don't think it's gonna be a ton about maybe a little bit how evolution's impacted it, but I think it's gonna be more just how people react to the results of the previous
Week.
regionals like
Yeah.
in the US, both in the US and Europe. Like people know that like, oh, Darkrai Giratina is a deck that I have to worry about, and Mega Gardevoir is like a playable deck, and Gyarados is like a real deck, and Vileplume is a real deck. So I feel like some people are going to like copy or try and counter those decks where they weren't really thinking about them or considering them before.
Gotcha.
Because evolution's only like improved the card pool so much.
Yeah. Mark?
I think, yeah, like you said, Evolutions doesn't really have that much impact card, but
Mm-hmm.
Orlando's a much better gauge of where the meta is than like the EU regionals because it was so small. It's only like 200 some masters. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I think having a 650 player regionals in Orlando shows a better gauge of where the meta's at than what a 200 player regional
Yeah, for regional from
should.
EU is.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Um,
Well, I mean, I was saying that like I think like the next two tournaments like that you mentioned, like the ARG and the EU regionals, are going to impact the meta. Like I agree with that part. I was just disagreeing with the part that like so much like, oh, we're gonna see what evolution's like brought to the table. It's more gonna be people reacting to
what evolution's bringing?
Orlando.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like
Okay.
yeah,
a
then
combination of both. You're trying to say. Of
yeah.
both
But I
evolutions,
think
but you're like I don't think evolutions itself did too much, but this is gonna be what's gonna help us gauge how people think, right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But it's
Yeah.
more like reacting to like Darkrai Giratina and like those decks that people weren't aware of, like that are now in the mix,
Yeah, yeah,
now common knowledge.
yeah. So I commented earlier on Verbank that I don't believe there's a strong top 5 meta. I personally can't think of one without actually seeing the decks that are like anticipated and expected to play. Just because there's a lot of strong decks in the format, like 8 to 9 of them, in my opinion, that are viable, like worth playing. And if you hit the matchups that you need to hit, then it was a good call. Blah blah blah. Stuff like that. Um, I think it's too diverse and it's healthy, but I'd rather just get pinned down to like 3 or 4, like a trio or like a square of OP decks, and then a little bit of rogue decks that can party in. So like if you choose to play a deck that doesn't play Parallel City, then you might get bodied by Rainbow, Mgardy, and Rayquaza.
I mean,
Unless you
even
have
if you
like
do
some.
play Perilous City, you might still
Yeah,
get
yeah, I guess.
bodied.
Yeah. But I guess to make this a little bit quicker, what are you guys' top decks that you expect to see? Like what do you think people are gonna mostly play in ARG and then the Dortmund regionals? I'll go with Mark first.
Guardy's the easiest one to say. Like that's got the most hype around it right now. Like that's legit, and I think it's the deck that gained the most from generations.
Evolutions?
Or evolutions, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
Because Ratatat's good. And
yeah,
then
Ratatat
and Dragonite is both Dragonite and it's a good card.
Yeah. Got Brock's Grit, it got a lot more than any other deck got from that set. So that's an easy one to say. From there, it's kind of like seesaw, like you said. Who predicts the meta? I like it though because it puts more emphasis on you preparing for a tournament.
Okay, well that's not 3, but Dylan, do you think Scizor is a solid call going into this weekend, or do you think like it has a target on its back because people know that Mguardy's good, so people think that they're going to be playing Scizor. Hence, people are going to be playing Volcanion in order to beat the Scizor and have a good matchup against
so many
Mguardy.
levels.
No,
but then if you play,
it's not even levels. Levels is like that madness.
I mean, we're already going a couple more levels than people. I think people are going. I mean, I don't know. The way that I think that the general person will look at it is kind of like, I guess if you're looking at Orlando, like for like US players, you're like, well, Mega Guardy got stuff from the new set. Darkrai Giratina was the deck that dominated. Mega Guardy beats these decks. Mega Guardy, like if you just test against what made top 8 in Orlando, you're going to have really good results. But if you're somebody from the EU and you go to test Mega Guardy, you're going to be testing it against Mega Rayquaza that won, and you're probably going to find that Mega Guardy is not that great. And then you're going to be playing against like Scizor, because that was 2 of the top 8, and you're probably going to find that Mega Guardy not too good in that matchup either. So I feel like if you're just like trying to beat what was in like the previous top 8 of like your like regionals for like your country, I feel like US players like might like Mega Gardevoir a lot more than the EU players. So I would like be more worried about it. Like I don't know, like we don't know what's gonna happen this weekend, but like if like assuming like there was like no other like result in between like Dallas and like the next EU regionals, I would be much more worried about Mega Guardy in Dallas than I would be in Europe.
Yeah. Well, to argue that point, Liverpool before was Liverpool the most recent one? The one before Liverpool, Spiel. The Spiel special, which had Yveltal win the whole thing, and it stepped up. Yveltal was, I think, nowhere near the top tables at Liverpool. It might have been top 8, but regardless, Mguardy's there to crush it now. So
yeah,
like,
if that happened after the Mega, did that happen after the Mega?
Like Liverpool's already adjustment to what happened to Orlando, or do you think
Mega Rayquaza was the most recent one that won, right?
Yes, but Mguardy took up a majority of the field.
Okay.
In that is because Mies and Brit posted their deck list online, so they're both the decks out there and they're respectable players, and Mies has like his own following because he's a strong player, right?
Yeah, so, I know all the that's why a lot of the Europe people played Waterbox at Worlds. Yeah, they just copied Mies' list. Yeah, but yeah, that's, I mean, I guess maybe I didn't explain it well, but that's basically kind of like what happens is like Yveltal does well. Mm-hmm. People are like, oh, Mega Guardy is good, like, and they see other good people playing it, and then people adjust by playing things like Mega Rayquaza and Scizor. So I guess like some people sure might stick with Mega Gardevoir, so maybe you don't want to like take an auto loss to it, but I definitely wouldn't want to play Mega Gardevoir myself in a metagame that had lots of Mega Gardevoir and that had Mega Rayquaza and Scizor winning. You're literally just like playing into the decks that people are going to copy, and it doesn't seem like a good idea. So I wouldn't expect to see a lot of Mega Gardevoir at the top table, so it's probably not the deck that I would like want to target like the most, and it probably wouldn't. I think it'll like decline in popularity basically. Yeah. But some of the US people are just like, oh, Europe, their regionals is the size of the cities. It doesn't matter. Not saying that's my opinion, but if you look at Verbank, that's a lot of their opinion. And Mega Rayquaza and Scizor were nowhere to be seen in Orlando, so people might kind of flock to Guardy because they're like, everybody's going to play Darkrai Giratina and Yveltal Gardevoir. We're going to crush them with Mega Guardy.
Makes sense. I personally think the best call is to go with Volcanion or with Gyarados. I think Gyarados has a strong to decent matchup against Mguardy, it's also very risky in a fun deck. So that's cool to play too. If you prize what you need against the particular matchups, you're gonna like. If you prize 2 Magikarp, you might as well scoop. So, that kind of crap can happen. But Volcanian's very strong right now. Whenever I test against it, I feel like I never just kick its teeth in. I need to start.
Depends what deck you're playing.
So. Yeah, well, it depends on what deck you're playing, but at the same time, it just feels like meh, you know. Like I feel like when I pilot Volcanion, it's a lot less powerful compared to when I see other people play it. Not because of how they're drawing or like how they're starting. I think just the general feel of it.
I think the biggest reason to play it is if like people anticipate lots of Mega Gardevoir, like you said, and then decide to play things like Scissor. Picking up the auto win against Scissor is the most attractive version to play Volcanion. I think its other matchups are just like kind of average in matchups like across like the rest of the field. But I think if there's enough Scissor, picking up that auto win might make it worth it. But I don't think it's like it wouldn't be my first choice.
Okay. Mark, do you think Greninja is gonna be a good call? It seems like everyone's pushing off for Garbodor and going for like special energy hate or particular hate against like M-Ray or M-Gardy, and then there's gonna be 1 or 2 people that just sneak in there with Greninja and made a ridiculous call for the weekend.
I think Greninja's a really good call. Like you said, everyone's pushing off of Garbodor, especially like I don't know how many people are really playing like Garbodor and Scizor anymore. Even like now they're kind of playing like maybe
Silent
Red
Lab Bats, a copy of Tamao and all them list.
So if you see a really big decrease in Garbodor play, obviously Greninja, will creep back in popularity. Plus, they just got the new promo Greninja. That thing's legit, man. You can't sleep on that.
Is that the Flygon? The one that does 20 to everything?
It does 20 damage to everybody. That's your get around to Garbodor. You hit everything for 20, and then you last hander and you Moonlight Slash that does 80 when you return the energy.
Just do it 5 times. You'll kill all the Garbodor.
Or
You'll
that.
be fine that way. If they have to establish, you'll be all right.
It gives you a way around, and dedicating 1 card to that, it doesn't hurt the consistency of the deck.
Yeah.
So it's always going to be strong. I mean, kind of get bodied by a couple of decks, but
And your own dead hands because you're playing frogs.
Yeah, but I think it's a strong call. Yeah.
Okay, Dylan, if you're playing in the regionals this weekend, what would you play out of the decks that we just talked about?
Out of the decks we just talked about,
Yeah,
I would
because
pick
I don't know
different.
if you have like your own secret concoction kind of thing. You know, like
I mean, I would just play either Mega Rayquaza or Vileplume. I think those are the 2 best decks in Standard, even though it's not like really a popular opinion. But kind of like if Darkrai Giratina if Giratina basically doesn't really exist, Mega Rayquaza like crushes Greninja, beats Mega Gardy, like beats Volcanion. Like I don't know, it has a lot of good matchups. And if the Mega Gardy list don't put in like a hard counter to Regice, like you're just gonna rock them with Vileplume. And basically if like Darkrai Giratina like still is in the mix, then you do fairly well. You just like play Beedrill, get rid of their tools, like got Jolteon, you'll be good to go. So I think depending on how like the meta like works out, like one of those 2 are like a really good play, but they probably won't be the most popular at all.
no, by no means. Especially with M-Ray just winning, I think more people would want to counter it than actually play it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it really depends. Like, I think in the U.S., if people are like gonna go like maybe super like Darkrai Giratina like hate like with Mega Guardian stuff, so like that deck underperforms, and then it becomes like a really good play in the U.S., especially because like people will counter it in EU and it won't win again. But maybe like Vileplume is like a really good play then in EU, for example, next weekend.
Okay.
I think between the 2, if you make like read the meta right, like one of those 2 would be like a good call.
Yeah, I think we can all agree it's like opinionated towards your hard rate on the meta.
Yeah, I mean to an extent. I mean, I think that some decks are just completely outshined in terms of matchups by another deck, and people don't see that. But I also don't like the format very much because it's like very matchup based, and like but the actual games there's not like a very high skill ceiling on them.
Yeah.
It just like you either like sit down and you're playing across like a 50-50 matchup or like 60-40, and it's like kind of whoever goes first or draws better, or you just run into your auto win or auto loss, and your day is just kind of dictated by whether you made a good meta call or unless you came up like with some crazy deck. So I mean, I feel like a lot of the skill is in like metagaming and deck building, which is cool, but the actual like in-game part of it,
The actual
excluding maybe
mechanics
like
of
a select few matchups, yeah, it's like
okay.
it's definitely lacking. So hopefully with like all the GX Pokemon and stuff, we see
That
some more
crap
cool
looks
interactions.
insane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see. Right now it's kind of stale.
All right, Mark, what's your favorite card out of Evolutions that you
Fav-
think you should see pop up over the weekend? Like, what's that hot tech that you want to see and you're expecting to see, if they're different?
Oh God. I expect to see a lot of Brock's Grit because that's probably like the best card out of the set, or like top one or two. But my favorite is probably the Starmie because I like Volcanion and Starmie. You got that built-in two energy for you know it's juicy.
Yeah, I've been testing it. I actually like it.
Yeah, it's a really good card, and I think people are sleeping on it a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I can agree.
Yeah.
Dylan?
Yeah,
I mean, I agree that Starmie is really good in Volcanion. I guess I don't like Volcanion that much as a deck right now, so maybe that's like why I don't like Starmie as much. But it's
either.
super good. But I don't know, I like Dragon IDX a lot. I feel like that card is like it's like good in Mega Guardian Mega Ray right now, but I feel like in the future it like has the potential to like be splashable in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like a very versatile card. I mean, Starmie is like a well-designed card too, because like even though it's like good in Volcanion right now, and I don't play that deck that much,
Mm-hmm.
like it's like it could be very splashable with anything that needs to get energy back in the future. So
I think Dragonite's super well designed.
yeah,
Decent
It's a good
HP. Its attack has like a lot of energy, so you shouldn't be using it.
Yeah.
At the same time, he's not completely useless. Like he's like a cool card that you want to pull and be like, all right, I can work
Yeah.
with this. I personally want to see a lot of Eradicate.
Yeah,
The
Eradicate's
solid
dope.
1/1. I want to
Eradicate
see
was
someone
my
shadow bite somebody for 240 on stream.
I feel like Raticate has a lot more potential in the future than right now, because other than Vileplume, which isn't that popular, a lot of decks just play 4 special energy, so it's like very hard to like reliably get 3 in the discard pile. But I feel like if more than 4 special energy becomes the standard, like Raticate is just going to be basically a better Driftblim that has like a good basic.
Yeah,
It's going to be good somewhere down the line, if not like in
I
expanded.
think so. I played Eradicate, where someone played Eradicate Break against me, and I was playing Dark Eye Giratina. And I knew that 4 people from our locals was gonna play it on Wednesday, so I teched in a Latios EX, so I could just donk the
There you-
Rattata, and I did it twice throughout the tournament. And I also played a Magearna EX in my list, and so when I had a DDE out and Magearna on the bench, they were like, crunch. I was like, no, no. It's like, we eat those, and they're like, oh, what? And kind of went that way. But as soon as I had 3 energy in the discard pile, they were just one-shotting all my AXs, even though had like a 3 prize lead on them. So those are still fun games. I think we don't have much else. We still have. Oh, we're not even have that many. We're closing in on the 100 founder spots for our elite PC membership. So if you haven't checked out someone'spc.com, please look at them. Dylan and I write at least 1 article a week on for our elite PC program or premiumship membership. Premiumship, holy crap! And so if you're still using the founder code, you can get it for $5.99 a month for an entire year instead of $11.99 a month. And then by the time we double to $11.99 a month, we're gonna have either twice the article output or more articles and more matchup videos, and our deck garage is finally gonna be able to launch, which we're working on now, because that was actually kind of tricky to get implemented, but we'll get it all hashed out. So thank you to our sponsors, Ultimate Guard, and we were previously with 6 prizes, but since we kind of did away with all that, please make sure you visit someone'spc.com, and we appreciate you guys for all viewing. Take it easy.
See you guys. Peace.